This week, we're discussing the fine art of marketing video games. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who knows a thing or two about building a cult. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, do you have any insulin for me?
Actually, we're having a little bit of a shortage right now, and you need to do some procurement.
Oh.
So if that's something you think you could help with,
would you like my pancreas?
that would help. It'd be a good start.
I will, as soon as we're done with this, I will go grab Shelby and the scalpel
Yep.
that we have on hand.
Yeah,
And
I generally just use a hatchet, but
oh, okay, all right. I don't think we have one of those. We have a glass cutter. Do you think that could?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you the joke that I was about to say later.
Oh, okay. How are you? How was your weekend games?
Oh wow. I don't know that I really played anything this week.
Oh,
That's a lie. I didn't really play anything purposefully, but I got a new graphics card for my laptop, which I know PC people are gonna be all over that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically they build like a keyboard for my laptop. It's a Surface Book 2, so it detaches, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And back when they were selling these things, you could buy a version of it that had like an NVIDIA GPU in it. Of course, at the time, I didn't have that kind of money, and now it's old enough. I mean, I think this came out in 2017. I bought it in 2018. So enough time has passed that some of these keyboards have kind of gone to scrap, and you can get them pretty cheap. So I was relearning the joys of computer hardware.
And like taking like going into a computer.
Well, not really going into it because there's no way to get this thing open without destroying it. But in terms of like getting the computer to recognize that it's there.
Yeah.
And seeing as it's a Microsoft thing, I figured it would have just been like plug and play. A Windows update would have kicked off, which it kind of did. Like I put it in, there was a Windows update that was for like NVIDIA hardware, but it didn't actually put the driver in.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, long story short, I needed to put some games on here to test it. And I did two of them. I did an older game. Just to kind of like make sure. And then I did a newer game to like kind of push it.
Okay.
So the older game was
Can
Max
I guess?
Payne
All right.
3. You can guess the newer game.
Okay. I just want to call out that my guess for the old game was going to be Oregon Trail. Which isn't funny, except to me.
There actually is a floppy drive attachment too. So you have to go through all 16 or 17 discs or whatever it was. For the younger crowd out there, a floppy disk is the save icon.
Yes. Yeah.
They used to be real before they became NFTs.
Okay, so you use Max Payne 3. And then a newer game.
Happened to be the game I had on Steam that I have run on lesser hardware in a past life.
Jackbox Party Pack 2.
No, but I do have
that. Gary's Mod.
No.
Okay.
I also have that.
What was the newer game?
Sifu.
I didn't realize you had that on Steam.
I don't.
Oh.
The older Max Payne was a Steam game. I bought Sifu for Xbox, but you get it on PC as well.
Gotcha.
You buy it on Xbox. So I tried Sifu and I this is when I realized that like the drivers didn't actually install because it looked like shit, and I had my expectations were low. And of course, like when you first boot into a game, it puts it in like extreme graphics,
Of
like
course, yeah.
yeah. So I had to go in and I put it down to like normal or whatever. And it was like running, but it was super choppy, like not anything you'd want to play. So okay, well, I'll give up on this. Um, did some more digging and realized that like it was actually just running off of the Intel card that's baked into the computer.
Okay.
So did some more, got the NVIDIA card going, and it actually played it pretty decent.
Nice.
So yeah, I've never had a gaming laptop before. Not that this can do anything special, but
Yeah. Yeah. I specifically got a laptop that would be able to do like some, at the very least, light gaming, and then I've proceeded to not get into any sort of computer gaming whatsoever. So that's pretty neat.
yeah,
That's cool. All right, so you played what, like a little taste test of both Max Payne 3 and Sifu?
yeah. Max Payne 3 was a game I had played a little bit years and years and years and years ago.
Sure.
So and they have like those like it's almost like an arcade mode. You basically go through the levels, but you can pick it like section by section. So I did that, and then Sifu was basically just opening the game and running around and seeing how it went. But now that I've started it and remembered that I had it, maybe I'll actually play it.
You think, yeah. Nice. All right, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that. Um. Oh, I guess since last time, um, I was talking about Cyberpunk and riding the train.
Mm-hmm.
Did more train riding.
Nice.
Yep, and finished all the NCPD scanners and did some achievement cleanup.
Oh my god. So what do you have left?
I have to get all the endings,
Okay. Yep.
and then there's like two other like skill-based ones I have to do. One of them is like getting 3 kills with a revolver,
Okay.
which I was trying to like milk for a while, but I couldn't quite get it. But I actually that was before Phantom Liberty came out, and you get a really dope, spoiler alert, really dope revolver in Phantom Liberty. So I'm gonna try it with that. And then the other one is like shooting. I think it's you have to shoot a grenade out of the air and like hit a bunch of people.
I think I remember you saying that. I mean, there's got to be a way for both of those. There's got to be like a some sort of preferred method of doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just gonna look it up, but I finally took the disc after probably a year. I took it out of my Series X, so I'm gonna let it breathe a little.
Nice.
Come back to it later when I have no idea what I'm doing.
When you can't think of anything else to play, and it whispers to you from wherever you store it. Play me.
Come ride the train.
If you play me, you will come. Grow up. All right, nice. Well, I look forward to you playing Sifu. Maybe, depending on what you come back with next week in terms of how much or how little you've played of Sifu, maybe that will be the motivation to get me to also start playing it.
Oh, you haven't played it yet?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
Not yet. And do you want to know what else? It's a bit of a two birds, one stone situation because even though I bought it during the holiday sale like a fool, it was also a PS Plus monthly game this year, probably February, I think. And so, or it was March, or it was this month. I can't remember. But so it fits into my challenge of 100 PS Plus platinums. So I'll two birds, one stone. I'll get to be playing a game kind of alongside of you, and also working towards an additional platinum towards that 100.
Well, there you go.
So we'll see. Do you want to hear about my adventures in MLB?
Not really.
Cool.
But I'm sure you're gonna tell me anyway.
No, there's really not much to talk about. I played a ton of MLB. But I also
Was that Friday for you? Was that the early access day?
yeah, Friday was early access. Friday through midnight, like Tuesday the 19th morning.
Yeah, because I think I can get it for free on Game Pass right now.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, so early access was Friday through Monday. I played I played a good bit of it Friday. Saturday, I was up kind of early, so I started just playing, grinding Diamond Dynasty as I do, and I got hit with you've earned the max amount of gameplay XP for the day, your daily limit, and it was 4 p.m. Michael. um, so that was a cold glass of water splashed into my face.
Yeah,
And then
no problem.
I was working on Ghostwire Tokyo, which left or was leaving the PS Plus service um on Tuesday. And so I needed to platinum it on Monday. And so I put a disgusting amount of time into it on Sunday. And then fucking the last trophy I left, I thought like so Ghostwire Tokyo has a ton of collectibles in it. And also, real quick, just because like I feel like it's a game generally that people should and probably would care about. It's really good. It is really really solid. I would absolutely recommend it. It blew my expectations out of the water. I will say that right from the jump. There are a ton of fucking collectibles in it though. Like just the map is littered with like these statues that you need to go and pray to, and then these shrines that you need to cleanse, which are like the way of opening up the rest of the map. Then there's just relics that you need to pick up and turn in for cash, and then fuck, what else is there? It's a lot though, and it's like half the game is like doing that. Like I put 40 total hours, I think, into the game, and easily 20 of it was like doing like map cleanup. Um, Honestly, if not more, with the little that I did throughout the game. And I decided to save this one trophy, which was basically like I forget what it's called, but it's like a thing you go up to it and it's like a fortune effectively, and it gives you like a buff for a limited period of time. And there's 7 different things, and one of them is a bad effect. It like drops your health all the way down to 1. But it's completely random which of the 7 you get, and apparently the one that's bad is like a 1% chance of pulling it. And I didn't realize that. I thought it was just 7 things and you had equal chances. So I saved it for the stream that I did on Monday. Because I was like, oh, this will be like 5 to 10 minutes. I sat and saved scummed. Like I saved in front of it, and I would do a poll, and if it wasn't the thing I needed, I would reload. It took an hour. And like normally I stream from like 7 p.m. to 11. I had to go until 11:30 because of it, because we played another game from 7 till 10:30, and I was completely prepared because of the game leaving the next day at like 1 p.m. I was completely prepared to stay up until fucking 1 a.m. on stream, just fucking sitting there like with like just dead eyes. Saves coming, and then at 1 a.m. I was going to give up. I was going to go to bed, and I was going to set an alarm to wake up at 6 a.m. because that is how dedicated I was to not losing 40 hours of progress for my goddamn challenge. So that was fucking crazy. And Shelby and I were just reading like angry Reddit comments of people just putting like the most dramatic like I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I got to tell you, I found all the shrines, and I prayed to every statue, and I picked up every relic. I have never in my life felt so betrayed by the RNG gods than I have while playing this game. I am so incredibly frustrated, and unless they update the odds of this trophy, I simply cannot imagine a world where I will get this platinum. Just so fucking dramatic and just so funny.
That's so funny. I love it.
I'm
I'm not saying I love people's misery, but
dude, man, the trophy hunting community. Some of these people have like one person was like, this is totally off topic, but one person was like, Oh, people said this is an easy skill game. It is. And so therefore an easy platinum. It was. Uh, but any game or company that puts a random chance trophy tied to the platinum, like whatever. It's like I can get behind the people who are like, okay, multiplayer trophies, online trophies that could potentially go away due to servers shutting down. I think those should be in separate lists. I can get behind that. But yeah, the random chance or whatever, like, and acting like that makes the game hard. Like, bro, one person said, for the past 18 days, I've just been taking an hour to an hour and a half each day of just doing polls and save scumming until I got it finally. And I'm just like, yeah, that's probably what I would have done if I didn't have such a time crunch. like what I did with City Skylines, where it's like, oh, I'll just let it run overnight. Like, whatever. Good stuff. But man, yeah. You think just your day to day gamer has some entitled takes. The trophy hunters take it to another level. Forget about MLB The Show players wanting the servers to work during early access. You think that's entitled? Well, no, sorry. The way they present it is entitled. That's fair. The server should work. But anyway, that was my week in games.
Sounds well rounded.
Anyway, enough of me bitching. Let's talk about bloat in marketing. Have you ever heard of a little free-to-play game called Monopoly Go?
Perhaps.
No, I'm genuinely asking because I did not know this was a game.
So you sent me what we're going to talk about today, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I used to play that on my iPod Touch 4.
Okay.
I didn't realize this had just come out last year.
Yeah. I also didn't realize it was a thing. Like, I also, yeah, if you would have said, like, oh, did you hear about Monopoly Go? I would have just assumed it was Monopoly on your phone, which I also think I had on the iPod back in 2013 or something like that. No, apparently it is a free-to-play game that has GameSpot sets it up as 2023's most successful mobile launch with $1 billion in revenue.
A lot of dollars.
In an interview with the developer, they said the game has now brought in over $2 billion in its first 10 months. And they revealed that the company spent $500 million on marketing and user acquisition. Mike, I cannot explain to you enough. I didn't fucking know this game existed.
I didn't know well enough to warrant $500 million to get me to know it existed.
What did that $500 million go to? How did people hear about this? Because clearly it worked to some degree.
And even if you have heard about it, like, because now I'm questioning myself. It's like, yeah, like I think I went on, so I have an Android, so I think I went on the Google Play Store and saw like, yeah, I mean, I'm on the games thing and Monopoly Go is like right here. Like, yeah, I probably went into the Play Store and saw it there, but there wasn't $500 million saying, come play this game.
Right. And I'm checking on Twitter right now to make sure it wasn't something that I fucking, like one of the companies that I blocked because of so many freaking ads. Maybe I gotta check it out. Because this is insane.
Yeah.
I can't get over that. Like, to find out that a game spent that much money on marketing and like to have never heard of it. I can't tell if that just means I live under a rock or what. But GameSpot put this into perspective, which I think is just like it's just interesting. Like I love numbers, and I think this is pretty neat. Um, yeah, they say, quote, to put the $500 million marketing budget in perspective, a poorly redacted document last year leaked a set of budgets for some of PlayStation's biggest AAA titles, which revealed that The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million to develop, and Horizon Forbidden West cost $212 million to develop. So, and what is it isn't it normally that like isn't it normally that marketing costs are like roughly double of development costs or something like that with like AAA games? Why does that stick out in my head, or am I
Well,
wrong?
we talked about something I think for Call of Duty. I don't know if it was this past year or the year before that with how much they were spending, and I think yeah, it was double of development costs.
So even so, if you take that and just do the quick dumb math, right? 220 million for Last of Us Part 2. That means that they would have spent 440 million on marketing.
Sure.
But so if that were the case, if you're just using that basic like double it and pass it on, Monopoly Monopoly Go spent more. It's just like
And
it's so funny.
and why do I feel like it didn't cost $250 million to develop Monopoly Go?
Right. And it's a free to play game that's brought in 2 billion. This is
Yeah.
bad. We need to not report on this because now fucking Warner Brothers is going to go get some ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so you sent this to me and I'm like, wow, $500 million.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and that's a lot of money for a mobile game studio to be spending. So the game is made by Scopely Games out of Los Angeles, apparently. And they've made tons of games you've probably heard of at least. Walking Dead, Road to Survival. They made a Scrabble Go game. They made Stumble Guys, which like I think Mr. Beast was pushing for a while. Um, Marvel Strike Force, WWE Champions. They made a Star Trek game. Like big IPs
Mm-hmm.
in terms of entertainment. Um, but you know, that's a lot of money. So I went and did a little bit of digging because usually mobile game studios are owned by another company. And so in 2023, the same year that this company got all of this money, $500 million to spend on advertising, they were acquired by Savvy Games Group. Which, funny enough, if you click the link in Wikipedia, it doesn't take you to a Savvy Games Group. It just takes you to the Saudi Public Investment Fund.
Oh.
And then if you do more reading, it says Savvy Games Group, a wholly owned subsidiary of Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, acquired the company in July 2023 for $4.9 billion with a B.
So is the House of Representatives going to try and ban this game too?
Kind of makes a guy wonder.
Makes you think.
I mean, if Jesse Waters did any degree of digging into video games and he or somebody at Fox News saw that the most successful mobile game of 2023 was owned by the Saudis, I think there would be some questions asked.
Yes, some very not highbrow. What's the opposite of highbrow? Lowbrow?
I would imagine.
Not very intelligent questions, I would have to imagine. But questions nonetheless. Noise would be made. Pots and pans would be banged.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
Though that definitely helps give a glimpse of how a little mobile game was able to push. I mean, that's like I should have looked into this a bit more to try and get an idea, but I would have to imagine, I'd have to assume, which you know what they say, most mobile games are not in the market to be able to spend half a bill on marketing.
Yeah.
Because again, the assumption is that AAA games probably aren't even spending like that's something that where it's like most AAA games probably aren't spending 500 million. And I just also find this
Hmm.
interesting too because that's been such a topic. And now again, you kind of touched on it. There's a ton of doubt that like the cost to develop this game was also 250 million. Um, obviously, we don't have those numbers, but it's been such a heavy point of topic in gaming recently. I think Sean Layden um, talked about it with like just like the exponential bloat in terms of budgets for games. Um, it's been like a hot topic, and here comes a mobile game, and they spend 500 mil alone on the marketing. Um, like I don't know, does that does that not just I feel like compound with like the fear that like maybe things are going a bit too far or what?
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
Um, it's just crazy, and like it's unreal. It's just unreal. And so funny to me that that's a thing. But I will say that like despite hearing that, right? Like the only thing that would make it possibly funnier is if it's a if they pay 500 million and then it's a massive success, which is what it fucking was, right? Like
Hmm.
how ridiculous like um cuz it feels so obvious that it would go the other way, but and it's a free to play game. I just like I can't wrap my head around it. I think I might have to download it and do some like boots on the ground reporting next week.
Yeah. And next thing you know, you've spent 500 million in game.
I'm looking to spend $500 in game if you know what I'm saying. You
I
know,
hope not.
GTA. You know what I'm saying?
Uh, hmm.
um, yeah. I mean, do you think this is like, is this in all seriousness? I kind of joked about like, look out, Warner Brothers is going to take this approach. Um, are we going to see this? Do you think with other mobile games? And to that point, in terms of, do you think we'll see massive marketing budgets? Do you think that you'll fucking see the marketing for the game if they do it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I've ever seen, like I said, outside of the Google Play Store. I can't say that I've seen an ad for this game. I haven't seen a commercial. It hasn't been like fed to me on social media or anything. I can't say that I've seen it. And I love Monopoly. Like if Google were listening,
Oh,
they would know that I love Monopoly and I'd be getting ads for this all the time and I would have downloaded it had I seen an ad. Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't think that mobile game studios have $500 million to spend on advertising for one game unless they're owned by a much larger entity. Like I don't even see Microsoft spending $500 million on advertising for like the next King game.
right.
I don't think they even have like the money to warrant doing that. I mean, the Saudi Public Investment Fund is like one of the most well-funded organizations in the world. So, I mean, and not to get too tinfoil hatty here, but like it's going to take something like a nation state to fund this. Like I could see a game that's owned by Tencent getting that much money in advertising if they haven't already. I mean, that's something I would like to see.
Yeah. Right. Like when you started saying that you started doing some digging, like the expectation in my head immediately went like, oh fuck, is this going to be something that like you just like, oops, all 10 cent.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, that's what it kind of like smells of. And you're right. I'm trying to look, cause you mentioned King, and I wanted to try and see how much Candy Crush paid in marketing. I'm also like looking that apparently, according to this is all live and happening as we speak from Fido.com. This was probably an AI article. 70% of users haven't paid anything, yet the game still earns a daily revenue of 405,000. Is that possible? Is that fucking possible?
Who is that?
Candy Crush? Candy Crush makes $405,000 a day?
And it's been doing that for
Bro, I don't want to be around anymore.
12 years. I just saw that I think Candy Crush is coming to Xbox. And that was when I wanted to sell my Xbox for PlayStation.
That's
They've gone too far.
I love it, dude. Give me, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a put your games everywhere gremlin. But can you put Candy Crush on the PlayStation and give me trophies?
There you go.
That makes sense. Bringing Candy Crush to Xbox. That's not too surprising.
Yeah, I don't know how you play it, but
With a controller, how else do you play games on Xbox? Boom.
oh
Roasted.
my god.
Was that an oh my god you read something really surprising, or oh my god you can't
No, that
stand
was
me?
an oh my god, kill yourself.
In game?
In game, of course.
I'm now seeing
So
that Candy Crush apparently spends upwards of $1 million a day on marketing. But again, I can't confirm those numbers. That is crazy.
$1 million a day.
Spent on the marketing of the game.
I mean, so I'm looking at Statista at a data set that came out March 4th of this year. So you want to talk about apt data coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Candy Crush Saga. I remind everyone that the original game from 2012 made 900. We'll call it $957 million in gross revenue.
Say that number again. Sorry.
957 million, approximately,
And for what time period?
for all of 2023.
Jesus.
So even if they did spend $1 million a day in marketing, that's only a third of their gross revenue, which I think is reasonable.
Oh my god.
It's not $500 million, but it's
I'm also.
damn near close.
Yeah, but like, I like, is the Monopoly Go $500 million? Is that mostly talking about kind of just like their launch marketing and like lead up marketing and like, or is that like a figure that has been like maintained and is going to like, you know what I mean?
The way it's worded is that that's what it was over 10 months.
Right.
So extrapolate that out over 10 months.
So 50 million a month.
Right.
You're looking at 600 million a year, and based on the numbers of 1 million a day for Candy Crush, they're almost, again, this is a very general loose almost. They're almost spending double of what Candy Crush alleges to be spending. I can't wrap my head around it, dude. I can't wrap my head around $1 million a day. What is happening? Why are they doing that?
For a game that hasn't fundamentally changed, and I'm talking about Candy Crush here, for a game that hasn't fundamentally changed in 12 years, is my understanding.
$20 billion, Mike. $20 billion in revenue. I think since launch. Bro. This is nuts. And these are free-to-play games.
Yeah. I mean, you wanna go through the time portal here, like Candy Crush came out on Facebook in 2012. For free to play, all you had to do was give them access to your personal data.
Yeah, I mean, what's the cost of that?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't affect me. They're gonna get it anyway.
No, only TikTok is stealing your.
What's just out of curiosity, because I was thinking about this earlier. What's TikTok's
Marketing?
Can't be as much as Temu with 4 Super Bowl ads. But
Jesus. But like TikTok, I've definitely seen the occasional TikTok commercial. Like you said.
I see TikTok advertising everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
probably because I don't use it.
Their best advertising is like through other social medias, right? Like the most TikTok that gets served to me is Twitter.
Yeah.
And then like a huge gap, and then TikToks that Shelby or another, like some other friend thinks that I will find funny. And then half the time it doesn't work because TikTok's like, you have to download our app. And I was like, no, I refuse. I'm scared of what your algorithm is going to know about me. I'm trying to figure out what Fortnite spends on marketing. Like, how do we match this up to a free-to-play console game to try and get like an additional idea? Because Fortnite's also bringing in crazy dollars.
Right. Well, I feel like it's got to be Unreal because they're also doing partnerships. I mean, they basically gave The Weeknd a digital residency.
Right.
I can't imagine that's cheap.
Do you think his deal is better, or do you think U2's at the Dome is better? The Sphere.
Was U2 doing a residency? Is that what you're asking, or are you just saying
I think
they're feature?
I think they were doing a residency, weren't they? Aren't they like
well,
the Sphere people?
Yeah, they are, but I didn't realize there was more than one show. It could be. I see U2, my brain shuts off. So I just assumed they walk into the Sphere and said, "Yeah, we're gonna play here for a while," and that's kind of how that went.
And they couldn't find their way out, so they were just like, "Well, we gotta just keep going."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, people are showing up for like a Drake concert, and U2's just on stage playing, and nobody can get them off.
And what's crazy too is that
Tim Cook's sitting in the front row geeking out.
What's crazy too is that Vegas's streets have names. Anyway. Oh God, I'm trying to look
that
up
one. You're gonna have to explain it to me later.
U2 has a song where the streets have no names.
Oh.
I'm really trying. Okay, here we go. Fortnite spent under 100 million on advertising and digital in the last year.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
I guess they don't need to, though. It's not a brand new game.
Bro, why does Candy Crush need to spend $1 million a day?
Stay relevant, I'm sure. I mean, when you've got Monopoly Go spending
But
2/3 of your budget.
but middle-aged suburban moms are not going to play Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go reminds them of when they had to entertain their children. So they play
I mean,
Candy
maybe.
Crush. So
I
Candy
mean,
Crush has its market.
maybe they're downloading Monopoly Go for their kids, so when they go to breweries, they can just leave them unattended.
With the volume on, of course.
Yep. Yeah, I mean the kids yearn for economics.
They
They don't want to
really
grow
do.
up like they don't want to grow up like the previous generation in the mines.
Yeah. Yes. You got that right. Uh yeah, I don't know. Do you see this? Do you see this being a trend that continues, or is it kind of like you said, like there's really only a select few that are ever going to actually be able to do this, and it probably won't realistically become a trend.
I If it becomes a trend of nation states buying
Right.
mobile games, I think much larger questions will be asked. But I think they're the only ones who would provide this much money to do it. All that being said, $1 million a day on Candy Crush is still fucking ridiculous.
But also, like you said, putting it into perspective, the fact that they brought in almost $1 billion in revenue, they're still bringing in over $500 million in revenue or
Yeah.
in like
Yeah, I mean,
net, right?
you'll always have an advertising budget,
Sure.
but I imagine that being linear with their gross revenue. So, I don't know. If they make $500 million in a year, I'm sure they're still not going to spend $1 million a day on average.
Do we think this is a problem? Do we think it's a problem that companies are spending this much on marketing? I'm even talking like AAA, like the whole like double it thing. Like, do we think that's a problem?
I don't think games would be $70 if they weren't doing it.
You think games would be less?
Oh yeah. Well, if you're spending double what it costs to make a game just to advertise it.
Yeah. I was looking at it. Um, Insomniac Games, right? Kind of, kind of probably the most efficient studio I can think of in terms of churning games at a rate that like nobody else can keep up with. Can you think of somebody who's been better about like getting games out at their rate outside of like a sports game, I guess, right? Which has yearly installments.
Mm-hmm.
But like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man, I think they released 4 games in 5 years or something like that.
I mean, I often think that like Playground Games with Forza has a really good schedule.
Yeah.
It's basically like a year off and then a new Horizon game, and then the next year a new motorsport game, and then a year off, and then the
Yeah.
cycle continues.
That is a good
Like
cycle. Yep. That's
I
fair.
think that's nice.
But
And
like
they're two like different enough games you can play them at the same time
yeah.
over 3 years. I think that's kind of nice.
Okay. Doesn't it feel like though that that was much more the norm? Let's say even PS3 era. Like how many years were in between each Uncharted game?
At least two or three.
Maybe two for from like 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I want to say it was like 2, no?
It was closer to two than it was one. I mean, I thought it was
Sure.
2 to 3 years.
How long was it between The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2? 10 years? No. 7
2013,
years?
2013 and 2020.
7 years? I don't know. I don't know. The original Ratchet and Clank run by Insomniac that I was looking at and realized that they were actually still pretty darn good about their efficiency. The original run was like 13 games in 12 years. They were averaging over a game a year. And like two of those games where I think like one of them was Secret Agent Clank on the PSP. So probably considered a side game. And then another one was Ratchet Deadlocked. And just off of the name alone, I'm assuming was more so a side game than like a
Hmm.
mainline installment into the series. That is unheard of. We would go to war for a return to form like that. No,
Depending on the game, because we also bitch about Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed coming out every year.
yeah, you got me there.
Yeah. I would rather them take the time, frankly. I like a 2 to 3 year cycle.
Take the time, but have such gross, overblown budgets that are too high to like to even possibly like recapture through sales because you decided to release your game with limited marketing uh amidst like one of the best years in gaming. That was that EA game, that the name I can't even remember.
Anthem?
No, not Anthem. I feel like Anthem had decent marketing. um no, it literally came out last year. It was like that magic game. We had magic. You were kind of Doctor Strangey.
Is it Immortals of Avium?
Yeah. That's EA, right?
I can't remember if that's the EA game or the Microsoft game coming out. Yeah, that's EA.
Yeah, and that was
I
they.
completely forgot that even came out.
They basically said right, and they basically said, "Ho hum, this is why game companies don't take any risks anymore." And it's like you literally gave a half-assed attempt just to be able to like blame us so that you can go fucking make some other slop game. And when everybody cries about that, you can be like, "Well, we tried."
Yeah. And what's the what is the Microsoft game coming out? Because
Avowed.
it's like a is it Avowed? Okay, I couldn't remember. They all Avium, Avowed, all these stupid magic games have the same fucking name. This is why no game
No,
companies take risks anymore.
no, just because it's not for you doesn't mean you get to call it dumb.
No, but like Avowed, every time I see that game, like other than the fact that it's like maybe a different time frame, I get confused because they look like the same exact fucking game. And last I checked, people are pretty excited about Avowed.
You can't say every Magic game looks the same, Mike.
I didn't say it looks the same.
That's
I said it's the same fucking game.
what's the term? Not racist, because it's definitely not that. But what would be the equivalent with saying certain video games look the same? What are we even talking about anymore?
Anyway,
um. All right, marketing. It's a fickle thing, and apparently you can spend $500 million and not get it in front of the faces of two guys who love video games. We love video games. I would have I would have fawned over some Monopoly Go advertising.
yeah, yeah, but instead you didn't. Now you're just talking about how you didn't see it.
Yeah.
So
I
I kind of want to get back to your question though. Like, what do we like? If spending $500 million to advertise a mobile game isn't the solution, like, what is? Because I think to get to your point where you were trying to head with like Insomniac, is that like they don't spend all that money. I imagine like they don't spend all that much on advertising compared to just like generating games that are
Mm-hmm.
good,
Mm-hmm.
that are actually good.
Right, like they let their work speak for itself, basically.
Right. So I mean that was basically the advertising method of yore, but when PS3 era,
Did you just say your?
I did. Sorry, I was just thinking
Are
about
you in the
Magic
fuck?
games
Are you in the
and how they
fucking
all talk
Christmas
the same.
Carol?
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god! I'm sorry. Keep going. You were on a good track there, and I fucking
Well, now
ruined
I'm
it.
off of it, so
Yeah.
fuck me, I guess.
Is that it? You lost it?
I
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess. I'm assuming that like the fact that the world runs on advertising right now is why we're seeing these budgets. I mean,
Yeah.
being the next like trendy thing that somebody shares on their social media profile is more important than actually producing a good product, because like it's
Impressions are
gonna ebb
money, and
and it's gonna ebb and flow anyway. I mean,
mm-hmm.
people don't play games for more than a couple of months anymore.
Challenge accepted. I just downloaded Monopoly Go. I am now going to play it for one whole year.
Yeah.
No, fuck no. I will try it out though, and I'll report back.
I don't want those Saudis spying on my phone, so I'm not gonna do it.
Okay. All right. um, I'm curious. Anybody who's listening, let us know if let us know if you saw a ton of advertising. Like it feels like one of those things that would have had some like really annoying advertising, or like you know you talked about another game that you thought like Mr. Beast was pushing. So maybe it was something similar to that too, right? Like maybe this was like an influencer heavy game where they relied on, one person. Raid Shadow Legends. They relied on like a few people to say, "Yeah, I played this game and it was a lot of fun. You should play it too." And spend money on it even though it costs nothing. So I'll report back with my findings, but would love to hear if other people saw any marketing whatsoever, any drop of that 500 million that was spent. And now look at us. We're now talking about it. So we're giving it free advertising. What a world.
Are they getting? Well, what if it wasn't free? What if we just invoice them?
Thanks for watching this sponsored or listening to this sponsored episode of the Good Game Bad Game podcast.
Yeah, I think that's how it works. And now we can just send them a $500 million invoice.
Okay. We can try. We can see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Well, I mean,
What do we have
case,
to
they're
lose?
just gonna say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
They gonna sue me for the $10 I have to my name.
we can start bloodletting various companies that are hot advertisers for podcasts.
Yeah.
So I'll send an invoice to Quip too. And Manscaped.
They don't check these things.
And Dugout Mugs.
It's somebody. Shady Rays.
Shady Rays, that's a good one.
Yeah, the people paying the invoices are paid like $50,000 a year, and their companies are bringing in $50 billion a year. They don't give a shit.
We just gotta make sure we give a number that is like big enough, but not too big.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get to work on that too. I'll report back on that as well next week.
Excellent.
All right. Any closing thoughts on your end?
No.
All right. Well then, thank you all so much for listening. Please, for the love of God, be sure to tell us if you saw any advertising for this game. And now, Mike, be on high alert in case you see any advertising for it. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. As always, do us a favor, leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast. It would be greatly appreciated. And most importantly of all, the best thing you can do, best possible thing, is share this podcast with a friend, maybe somebody else who has fallen victim to Monopoly Go. And we'll talk to you next week.